So you want to be a correctional officer. I've had several people ask me about the application process and about the Corrections Academy. So let's take a walkthrough about applying to be a correctional officer, getting into the Correctional Officer Academy, and then being a new boot on the floor, and give you a brief summary. I've had several people say, please tell us about the application process. Please tell me about the Correctional Officer Academy. Please tell me what happens when I get to the prison or the jail, which is one of the most common questions everywhere, which we see all the time from newcomers. Well, first of all, if you want to be a correctional officer, in most states, you have to be 19 years old, no felony charges, no weapons charges, no domestic violence charges, okay? And misdemeanors, sometimes they will allow people into the Correctional Officer Academy with a misdemeanor, depending on what it is. Now, voyeurism can be a misdemeanor also. And voyeurism is definitely going to take you right off the list. Having an active warrant for anything is going to take you off of the list. You won't even be accepted during the application process. So, what you'll do is you'll go to your prison system, human resources office near you. We call them regional offices here in Florida. You can do it online. You can call them and ask them what they would prefer you to do, but online should be able to describe everything you need to do as far as the application process. And let me tell you, right from the beginning, filling out that application, this is huge and people overlook it. Make sure you write legibly or type it in on the online. Nowadays, that's the way it's done most of the time. But make sure it's accurate. Make sure your spelling is good. Make sure you put the truth. That is the big one. Do not omit anything. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? Yes or no? Have you ever been convicted of a misdemeanor? Yes or no? What type? If you omit any of these things on your application, you've just falsified an official document, and you may get past the system into the Correctional Officer Academy and find yourself under investigation for falsifying an official document, which in Florida is a felony offense. So don't do that. Okay, if you have to falsify your correctional officer application to get into this career, then you've picked the wrong career from the start. Okay, so just being honest, upfront, forward. Okay, have to tell you the truth. Don't do it if you have any of those issues. Now, once your application goes through, and if they like your application and they want to talk to you and they're interested in you, you will have a criminal justice basic abilities test. They call it a CJ-BAT here in Florida. Now, every state has either that type of test or something similar or a different title for their test, but whatever it is, it's a test to find out how well your written comprehension is, your inductive thinking, and your memorization. All these things are implemented within this test to see how you are at problem solving. Because guess what correctional officers do? They must respond to problems quickly. They must think quickly, act quickly, and be able to make a quick decision. Must be able to comprehend, to learn different things, as we're going to talk about, that you'll learn in the Correctional Officer Academy. So, you get 3 attempts at this test within a year's period, here in Florida anyway, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other states give you more than 1 attempt as well. But there has to be a break between each attempt. But within a year's time in Florida, you could take this test 3 times, and then if you don't pass after the 3rd time, you'll have to wait a while before you can come back and take it again. Check with your state's or county's policy on that entrance exam. Okay. The Correctional Officer Academy varies from state to state on how long it is. 420 hours here in Florida. If you do a dual academy, which we call here, where you're going to get correctional officer and law enforcement certified, you can add on another, 500-600 hours to that. But anyway, let's stick with Correctional Officer Academy right now. 420 hours here in Florida. And when you get into the academy, please walk in with a serious attitude. I mean, you don't have to be a bump on a log. Good humor is a good thing in corrections. Working together with people is a good thing in corrections. Not being the star of the show is a good thing in corrections. Listening and learning. That's what you're going to do in the academy. You're not the star of the show. You are the correctional officer trainee, and you are going to listen and learn. Be prepared. If you're one of these people that says, I'm super smart, I don't have to study, fine. Go out in the evenings and party. That's up to you. I would not recommend it. I would recommend at the end of each training day, take a break. Let your mind get away from it for a while. Have some dinner. Go for a jog. Go for a walk. If you're married and have a family, take the family for a walk around the lake or around the park and get that exercise that you desperately need as a correctional officer, and we recommend. And then go home and get you about an hour of quiet time or whatever you think you need, and go over your study and study your notes from that day, each day. Because you'll have tests during the academy that will be segmented out, and that way you have an upper hand. You've already studied your daily notes every evening before you went to sleep. But remember, get that time away to get your mind off of it after being in class all day. And get some exercise and food and enjoy your time a little while, and then study before you go to sleep. That's my suggestion. And then when your exam time comes up, you'll know what day it is. You can take all that from that segment, study it again, like in college, crash course, boom, go take the test. You'll do just fine, believe me. Pay attention in class and do what I'm telling you, and you'll pass. They don't make it real easy, and they don't make it real hard. If you studied, you'll know the answer. You'll see it when it pops up in front of you. Okay, some of the things you'll do in the Correctional Officer Academy. Every state is pretty much on the same sheet of music. It may vary just a little bit on the curriculum, depending on how each state or county sets up their Correctional Officer Training Academy. Introduction to Corrections. They're going to tell you what you're going to do, what's expected of you as a correctional officer. And by the way, have your hair well groomed. Find out before you get to the Correctional Officer Academy what the policies and procedures are on grooming. And walk in the first day with your hair, nails, mustache, beard, everything the way your agency wants it to be. Set the example. Iron that uniform. Okay? Press that uniform. Have somebody else do it if you want to. Just get the uniform looking good. Present yourself good to your instructors at the academy. Set a good example for the other training, correctional officer trainees in your academy. Okay? Lead the way. All right. After your introduction to corrections, and I'm not going to sit here and teach all this to you. These are segments that take, a week each, maybe 2 weeks for one type segment. Okay? Communications. Communications can encompass a lot. People skills, interpersonal skills, communicating with your staff, fellow staff members, communicating with inmates, radio communication, all types of things fall under communications. Okay? Another thing you'll do is you'll learn about the facility and equipment. And it may be in general, because I've been to academies where one is going to this prison, another's going to this prison, or one's going to prison. We were mixed with county and state, and one may be going to a state prison and one may be going to a county jail, which is still done in this area here. So a generalization of knowing your facilities and how to respond to emergencies and how to respond to incidents that will occur within your facility. You'll learn about intake, receiving inmates, transporting inmates, moving inmates out. Okay, you'll learn about responding to every emergency possible. Hopefully the class will receive some examples, a little bit of each example of things that could happen. And let me tell you one thing right now, folks. This is an introduction. The academy, the Correctional Officer Academy, is going to teach you the basics. The real prison, the real jail, you're going to learn that when you step in as a new boot on the floor and they say, this is going to be your assigned trainer for the next 5 weeks before we cut you loose on your own. The jail gave 5 weeks. Whatever your prison gives for training is what you'll get. Sometimes you may be thrown out there, bam, on your own, so be ready. That's where you're going to learn the real dangers of the prison and jail. There's dangers there. You're going to face them every day. I'll just give you a few quick examples because I'm not here to teach that also. I'm just trying to answer the question in general about the application process and the academy. But, you know, you're facing dangers of inmates attacking you, diseases, transporting inmates and being attacked during transport, responding. You're going to get first aid and CPR, basic first aid and CPR. We want you to be able to save a life or keep someone alive long enough until emergency medical services get there, until EMS arrives, okay? Or you can get them to the infirmary for the prison doctor or nurse, or for the prison nurse and doctor to arrive, whichever way it works for your agency. But, you know, you're going to have to be able to think on your feet quickly, and that's what we're trying to get you, the basic knowledge in the academy and the real, true knowledge when you get out there on the floor. This is all mandated by the state. Here we have the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. You must go through these things and successfully pass each segment. And there's another thing at the end of the academy as well I'll tell you about that you must pass before you can become a new boot. You're going to have firearms training. You know, depending on what your agency uses as a weapon. We had the shotgun and the handgun, okay? So you're going to have to qualify with both of those. And that was a week long for us. Every day on the range, practice, 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 and then qualification. Okay? Defensive tactics, that was a week long for us. That is going to be something that if you're not used to, start stretching now, start exercising, start working out, go to your doctor and see if you can, you know, do anything, or is anything there that you can't do, because you're going to go home every night after defensive tactics very sore and wake up the next morning where you feel like you can barely walk, and you're going to walk back in for the next day of defensive tactics and you'll loosen up as the day goes on. You'll loosen up. Don't worry about it. Just take care of your body now and you'll get through it. Okay, physical fitness, they'll talk about that. Eating habits, health habits, things you should do and things you need to do, and try to stay with it, folks. It'll make you a lot better off during your whole career. Basic criminal law we had. Some basic things you know about, you need to know when it comes to criminal law, and some civil law. You know, liability. What is the agency liable for? What could you as a correctional officer be liable for? You need to know these things, okay? So that you can protect yourself from lawsuits, protect the agency from lawsuits, okay? These are all the things you're going to learn in the academy. in a nutshell. Then you're going to take the state exam when it's all over, and they say that you pass every one of these stages with 80% or above here in Florida, whatever they do elsewhere, with an 80% or above in most cases. And then you will have to take the state exam, which is a accumulation of everything you've learned in the academy. And you'll be able to get a study guide for it. Don't worry about that. You have instructors in the academy that lead you and guide you. They're your teachers, advisors, and counselors, those instructors. You respect them. You ask them questions. When they're ready for you to ask them questions, you listen and learn, and you can ask them, where do you get your study guide for your state exam? I can't speak for all the states. And there's people that listen to this YouTube from many other states and countries as well. So, there in a nutshell, you'll take the exam. Now in Florida, you can take the exam 3 times. If you don't pass the exam after 3 tries, you're out and you'll have to start all over from scratch. Okay? Don't get scared. Remember what I said about studying your notes every night, studying for those segments and those tests, and then put it all in a nutshell. Get yourself a group together, a night study group before the state exam. I've known many officers that have done this. 3 or 4 of them will get in a group. You'll meet over some coffee and ask each other questions and study. It works great for some. Others are like self-studiers. They just do better studying their own material and taking the test. Whatever you have to do to pass that state exam. Okay? Now, being a new boot at the prison after the academy is something that would be a whole nother video. I'll just touch on it briefly, and then maybe I'll do another video on that one next week. But being a new boot at the prison is where you now walk through the gates and meet reality. You will walk with the inmates. You will be with the inmates. And you will be within the real world of your prison or jail. And this is where you're going to learn from your own mistakes, from your own observations, and listen and learn now, not from your instructors at the academy, but from the folks who walked the floor for many years. Grab one of those as a mentor and ask them questions, and don't be shy. Don't go in as a new boot, as a know-it-all. I just finished the academy. Yes, I learned that. I know that already. I know that, folks, that won't work. Every stage of this career is learning. Every day you learn. Listen and learn. And then when you get to the stage of being a correctional officer with 10, 15, 20 years under their belt, hopefully you will remember who helped you, and you will help some young officer when they come in as a new boot. All right, so just a little bit to think about here, and I hope I answered those general questions that those few of you, and you know who you are, you'll see it come up here shortly. You'll know who you are, and I hope this helps you a little bit. Thank you very much. Gary York, True Prison Story.